I be see the job.
We did live now.
Okay. Hey yo.
What's up, my people? How we doing? How's everyone's week been? How is week? Yeah, I mean today is Tuesday, and happy new month to everyone.
Yeah, happy new month, people.
If you have a Valentine this month,
Oh, not true.
kudos.
That's
If you
true.
don't, kudos also. If you don't intentionally, kudos. If you're looking for one, hopefully you're gonna get one. Well, happy
Or
new
maybe
month to
two.
everyone.
No judgment.
Or two, if you're what's it called? Is it polyamorous? Yeah, 2, 3, whatever you want.
Like no judgment.
No judgment. Yeah.
So
Last week we finished CSS. Well, technically, yeah, we finished CSS.
Yeah, finish CSS. Yeah.
You checking something?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I was just looking at my CSS because my code is on the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we finished some introduction to CSS. You know, just get yourself familiarized with it, and hopefully, I believe Ralph has learned how to, you know, look at the docs and be able to search for those properties and apply them. And also, it gives you that solid foundation of when you're watching other YouTube videos as to how to program or how to write a website. You have a better understanding of understanding those videos. You know, you have that foundation. And just real quick, I'm going to share my screen here and show you lots what we worked on. And this is so last week. Was it all of last week we did this? We did both the homepage and the create notes page.
You're not sharing your screen on Discord, so I can't really see it. Yeah. Well, let me see.
It says I'm sharing my screen.
Or am I the one that's stupid? One second.
I'm going to stop it and start it again. I just started sharing again.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's calm though. Like I can see it on the live stream, so let me use that one.
Oh,
so at least I know that others are seeing it as well.
Yeah.
You asked me when we did what?
We did the homepage for this notes app and the edits page all last week, right?
Yeah. No, we started since, but we finalized it last week.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
So we did the HTML and then the CSS.
Yeah.
We finished the CSS last week. But as you can see right now, you can do all of this, and when you go home, like it doesn't save it. You can like all of the clicky things work, but it has no functionality. Like it has that interactivity between the different HTML. It doesn't have that, and this is where JavaScript comes. But before we dive fully into JavaScript, because of how complex JavaScript is, before we dive straight into how to use JavaScript and interact with the HTML page and create interactivity and dynamic, you know, stuffs, I will go through the basics of JavaScript, and hopefully I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. Let me know, Ralph, if hopefully if you have any question as we go through it, but I'm going to try going as quickly as possible. So to start with JavaScript, I think the first thing we are going to do is I have over here how to add. Oh, that's cool from Notion. I didn't know they had this. Oh, anyways, how to add JavaScript to a page, because we looked at how to add HTML initially now, and we also looked at how to add CSS. So we're going to look at how to add JavaScript, and then you'll be able to write your JavaScript files. So this is the same project we had. That's this page, right? This is the same project we had, and real quick, I'm just going to copy this because I want to be seeing my notes. Yeah. Okay, let's go to W3 schools and just Google W3 schools JS. When you see JS in the programming world, it also means JavaScript. So we go to W3 schools and click me to show display the date and time. This they're just showing, oh, these are how, you know, this is what some of the beautiful things JavaScript does. Or we are going to look at where to add JavaScript. And now I'm going to introduce a new HTML tag that is called the scripts tag. So let me see. Blah, 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 blah. Scripts can be placed in the body or in the head. Yeah, or both. So you can either place a scripts tag in the head the same way we place the link, right? So you could do a script over here and another script, and then in here you can write your JavaScript. You can write your JavaScript code. And let me see, we used to have this thing called alert, and I'll just be like, this is in the index.html file, and alert, you're going to see what it does when, oh, alert is a function. But right now, don't try to understand what I'm just writing. I'm just trying to show to you that, you know, we've added JavaScript in the file. So I will say hello from JavaScript, right? Now what happens is when I go to my index.html file and I refresh the page, we see this hello from JS page, right? You can see the alert. But something interesting I want you to take a note of. This alert, because of the browser is running this JavaScript right now, the page is not displaying.
Okay.
And the reason the page is not displaying is because we put this scripts tag in our head, and the browser reads the HTML from top to bottom. So currently it is at this script portion. It's run executing this script, and this script is doing something we call a blocking operation. And when we say blocking, it's like it's not allowing the rest of the HTML to process, right? And the alert command on its own is a blocking operation. So it's currently like I can't do anything on this page. As a result, if showing this alert, only when I click on the OK that it deletes the alert will the rest of the page load. Now, to prove to you that the alert is a blocking operation, I'm just going to, this is just for you to understand blocking and non-blocking operation on a basic scale when it comes to JavaScript. I'm going to, on the developer tools, you can open the developer tools either by right clicking inspect, or you can do Control-Shift-I, or on Mac, I believe it's Command-Shift-I. And when you open the developer tools, you click on the console tab. Now use this console tab to just think of it as you are debugging things. You know, you want to understand what's happening. You want to understand what's happening when you write your JavaScript code. Let's say it's doing some complex calculation, and you want to print it out so that you can see as a developer just to make sure it's doing the calculation correctly. We use this console for that. You can also use this console to write JavaScript code and test them out. I don't think if I do this, it works. I think it works. So the same alerts that I wrote here, I could actually come here and do hello. I think it works. And when I hit enter, it triggers the alert, right? But anyways, like I was saying initially, the alert is a non-blocking operation. So it's a blocking operation because it's not allowing the rest of the page to be interacted with. It's not allowing the rest of the page. Like I can't even click on the create note, right?
Okay.
So now when I try something that's non-blocking, which is a debug, we call a debug, which is console.log. When we do console.log, so we are saying on the console, you should log hello from the console in JS. If we say we should log this and refresh our browser, I commented the alert out. Did you see it did not block the page from loading?
Yeah.
Especially with the script tag in the head, right? Now, there is a difference between having, if we look at the JS from W3 schools, it says scripts can be placed in the body or in the head section of a HTML page or in both, right? So we
Okay.
can put the scripts tag and write our JS in those script tag either in the head or in the body. But now I want to show you the difference between putting it in the head or the body. Now, to do that, I'm just going to, when you see me do this, I'm just commenting out the code in JS. In JavaScript, it means comment. It's a comment, so the browser is not
Mm.
going to execute it the same way we did HTML comments. So I'm going to do this and come down to the body of the HTML, right? And I'll go to the end of like the last element in the inside the body, and I'll
Mhm.
put another script tag, and I'll put the same alert over there, and I'll be like, hello from the body in JS. Remember, so now I want you to observe something. When we had this first alert, the page did not load. The first thing it did was it showed the hello from JS and it stopped the page from loading or from
Yeah.
rendering, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that we've put the script tag in the body at the end, when we refresh it, oh, I don't do myself.
But did you save before? Or
Yeah,
hello
I
from the
did.
building there?
I did.
Okay.
Huh.
So usually it's not supposed to do that though, right?
Yeah, it's not supposed to do that. I don't do myself. I don't do myself. I don't do myself. I don't do myself. Because the point I was trying to make is when you put it in the body, this is what
Mm-hmm.
happens. With JavaScript, you are interacting with your HTML. So you can say, oh, I want to take this HTML element and do this to it. For some weird reason, I don't know why it's not doing that. I guess alerts is just a really non-blocking. Oh, wow. I guess alert stops your browser. Alert is like a really, the browser is going
Okay.
to present it
So
next.
just to understand what's going on, are we trying to link JS to your HTML?
Yes,
The
we are
same way you linked CSS to
H
the
to,
HTML.
yeah. You remember
Okay.
one of
But when you say, but
okay.
here's the thing though, like I think the alerts script you're writing sounds like something that does exactly what you asked it to do. Like it's an alert. The
Yeah,
same way like when you go to web pages that have like alerts, it shows you that first before you're able to even go ahead on the page.
yeah,
So maybe I don't think regardless of where you put that specific alert, the code for alert, I don't think
yeah. I think alert, the alert
it's going to
function
show regardless.
is going to show regardless. But the
Yeah.
point I was trying to make is the location you put your script tag matters
Mhm.
in your HTML. If you want it, if you want the script tag to load after your HTML has loaded, then you put it
Mhm.
at the
Put
end of your
anybody.
body. But if you don't want
Yeah.
it to load, you want it to load before you put it at your head. But
Okay.
now I'm doubting my knowledge. So what's the thing we developers do when we doubt our knowledge or we don't understand something correctly? It's just we Google. So I'm Googling why put script in the body and not in the head. And the first thing I see is Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow It's our developer, like it's the Google for developers, pretty much. And
Okay.
the first answer here is like scripts in the head. Scripts to be executed when they are called or when events is triggered are placed in the function. Put the function in the head. This way, if
Okay. So see that one highlighted in pink explains it.
if if your is not placed in a placed inside a function, or if your script writes page content, it should be placed in the body section. Exactly, that was the point I'm trying to make. Like
Yeah.
if your script is going to interact with the body of the HTML, you want to place it last so that the browser like has read the HTML before it can execute your script.
Yeah. They say that this can improve page load
Page
because
load,
script
because
can slow
yeah,
down the display.
script like JavaScript can get really slow if you're not careful with it. And I'll show you some of the ways like it can even crash your browser. Anytime you open a website and you see like, oh, browser is freezing, the website is freezing, and then your browser can uh create a prompt saying, oh, page is unresponsive. Do you want to
Yeah.
wait till it a lot of times it's JavaScript. A lot of time it
JavaScript.
could be JavaScript that's causing that.
Okay.
So now, because of that, you won't see me really using the script tag here. The only
Also,
time
you
the only
okay?
time I'll put a script tag here is if I'm taking someone else's JavaScript code that
Mm-hmm.
my JavaScript code depends on, right? So I want it to load before my JavaScript code loads.
Oh, okay.
Then
Wait, so you can attach two JS files to
oh
a
you can attach multiple. So now
oh,
I have the
is it the same
console.
with CSS?
It's the same with CSS. You can also attach multiple CSS files.
Ah,
So you can use that to separate,
okay.
okay, this CSS controls your
But
index
but
page.
then how do you? Okay, it's probably just based off the name.
It's based on the name. Yes, you're
Yeah,
correct.
because I was gonna say because if the name of the CSS is style.css,
Yeah?
right?
Yeah.
You can use style1.css, but when you're referencing it in the HTML, you just have to format it to
Format
the correct
name to the
name.
exact name. Remember, the href is just the, what's it called? We talked the HTML reference, the
Yeah, yeah,
location of that file. That's all it is. So when we have the index.css here, we're just saying, oh, it's in the same directory as our index.html. So everything is still the location of the file. But anyways, um, I'm not going to have my script tag in the head. I'm not going to have any script in the head. And since we are also using VS Code,
yeah.
uh there are several ways I can do it. I could actually show you the browser console on how to write JS, or I could why don't we just dive straight into writing our own JavaScript file. So to do that, in this directory, we're going to create a new file and we call it index.jx. So index.jx. So for viewers that are just joining or they're are just trying to follow in learning JS, and I'm using VS Code, I clicked on this icon here, which means new file, and it's index.js. And just now, I've created my index.js file. Uh, for you and for the viewers, there is no need to add anything else. There's no, just wait for me. I just want to show you how to link the index.js file to the HTML file. And that's what we're
Okay.
going to be doing. So now I have my index.js file. I copied the alerts that was in the index elements that was in between the elements. I copied it to the index.js file and I just pasted it there and pasted it there, and let's go. Now, for me to link this index.js file to the script, tag, I'm going to give you a guess. I know what you're going to guess, but I'm just giving you a guess so that you have an understanding of the difference. What do you think I need to do?
So let me start by being a tech bro, right? So you said as a tech bro, when you don't know what to do,
You Google.
you Google it. So according to W3 schools,
Yeah.
it says in the HTML, you point to the JavaScript file by putting it in a script,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put the source
Correct.
equal to the
Path.
code is the pathway to the
Exactly. So we
index.js.
use the source attribute. It's called attributes, right? For H.
Yeah.
So we use the source attribute to say, okay, this is where the file is. So the file is on this in the same directory or in the same folder has our index.html. I can show this to the viewers just to make sure they have a better understanding of what I'm saying. So yeah, the note apps. So this is our index.html and this is our index.js. When I wanna show where, so when I wanna put, okay, yeah, in the source, this is go find the JS file in this location. I can either do a dot slash index.js, or since it's in the same directory, I can just do index.jx. When I save it, now this tells the browser that, oh, okay, when you're reading through this HTML file, there is a script tag here that's connected to a JavaScript file in this location. Go get it. And if I refresh this page, I should see the alert that was in our index.js file. So that tells us that our JavaScript is being loaded. And I believe you've done the same thing, Ralph.
Give me one second. I'm currently doing it, but
Oh, okay. While
one
Ralph
sec.
is working on that, so once he's done with that, this is the this is the file we're going to start learning JavaScript, all the, you know, little bit, trying to understand what this alert and then brackets open and then quotes and then a the word we want to say and then the closing quotes, and then we're going to explain all of those structure. I'm going to explain all of those structure, and hopefully we get it.
Okay. So what was the console.log
So
um you put earlier?
the console.log, like I said, I showed you this. So if I delete
Oh,
this,
okay.
it's when I do console.log, I'll just do hello. And if I save it, when you open your browser developer
Okay.
tools, so you can either right click and inspect, or you could go here and then more tools, developer tools, or you can do control shift I or control command shift I, and that opens developer tools. Now you select the console, what's it called, tab, and let's refresh the page while being on the console tab. When I refresh, we see the hello. So it is not part
Okay.
of the page. It doesn't have anything to do with interacting with the page. It's just, think of it as um, a debugging section, or uh, a command we use to log things out when we are debugging. We're just, dumping that data to be able to say, oh, okay, yeah, this is what it does, or this is how it works. And we're actually going to be using it. We're actually going to be using this a lot. So we'll be using it a lot, and then you would see how some other parts of JavaScript works.
Okay.
So the next thing is, let's see, I had notes here on how to get the element on a browser page, on get the elements on in HTML using JavaScript, but
Okay.
it is we are going way too ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
But it's just, you know what? I think I'll do it. I'll do it. Let me see. Document dot get element by ID, and then let's get our, oh, we don't have any ID. Let's see. I'll do query selector all. How many H1? When we look at our H1, we only have one H1 in our index.html. So I'll just say H1 and const, I'll be like our H1. Then, so what I'm trying to do now is this H1 tag here, I want to show you the power of JavaScript, right?
Okay.
So that you understand, okay, now this is where I know where JavaScript comes into play. You understand the intricacies. Anytime we click, right? Anytime we click, I want us to change the color of the header. So the Notes 1 app, I want it to change either to red and then black to back to white, red and back to white. This is going to take a lot. This is going to take a lot of, just a little time. Query selector H1, and then I'll be like window add event listener, click let is spread equal to false. So this is really testing my knowledge. But I love it. Okay, so we have our H1 and we say that actually, instead of making it red, I'll change the content. Let's see, I'll do some magic. Let's see what I can do. If is red, H1 dot. Oh, actually, no, I'll do this.
Seems like a lot.
Once you get used to it, you'll be like, oh, now I get it. It's just, it's not a lot. Don't let it intimidate you, honestly. Don't let it intimidate you.
Okay.
So now we're going to refresh our browser so that the code we wrote, we can test it works. It is not working. It is not working. So this is where console.log comes into play, where it's like, when I tried it, it wasn't working for some weird reason. And now I want to debug, why is it not working? Like, why is my thingy not working?
Okay.
Okay, I will look for DOM event listener. Oh, actually, this is what I needed to do. this is what I wanted to do. So h1 dot add event listener, not the click. Take out
So
the
I'm going to mute myself
yeah.
and put you on speaker so I can go and grab a glass of water.
Sure, no worries.
Or don't stop.
No
I'll hear you
worries.
from here. Yeah.
No worries. It's red to be equal to true. Hmm. Oh, right. So this red is false. This red is true. So Ralph is gonna be back in a minute. Oh yeah, he is. I figured out the issues. It's just my control logic. Um, we are just talking about you for a second. But anyways, so like just to show you the beauty of JavaScript or the power of JavaScript. Now, when I refresh the page, anytime I click on the header, like
Okay.
I'm going to even lift up my mouse here so that people can see that I'm legit using my mouse to click. I just need to move the mouse pointer to where the header is. Anytime I click on it, it changes the color and it changes it back. It changes it back.
Oh wow. Okay.
So right, this is the power of JavaScript, and all of this was done with just this code from year to year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain. Hopefully, by the time we're done with JavaScript, you'll have an understanding of what everything yet does. But in order to do that, first of all, is I'll cut this and I'll just save it for myself, my own personal self, so that when we've learned everything about JavaScript, you have an idea as to you'll be able to explain it.
Okay.
Okay. So now, first thing first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
God damn.
Okay, what I have here, let me see my notes. The first thing we're going to learn in JavaScript to understand is what we call is numbers and operations in JavaScript. So that because you're going to definitely everything involves numbers. The when you're adding two dates, when you are checking the balance in your account number, all of those things, right? Involves
Mm-hmm.
numbers. So when we do console.log and inside console.log, you can just write any number. So in my case, I can do 1. And when I save it and refresh the browser on that page, we see the 1. So that's a number. We call it a number type. So JavaScript also has the ability to do arithmetic with it. So I can do 1 plus 1 in that console, and this is going to get executed. So console.log, there is no quotes. So just console.log, opening and closing bracket, and within it 1 plus 1. When we refresh it, it shows equal to 2. It shows
Oh,
here 2,
okay.
right? So we can also do the same way. We can also do 1 minus 1, 0. We can also do 2 times, for times or multiplication. 2 multiplied by 1, we use the asterisk, and it tells us it's 2. And then we can also do division. So I can do 4 divided. We use the backslash or the front slash. Yeah, front slash. 4 divided by 2, which we all know is 2. And it tells us, when you refresh the browser, it tells us it's 2. So these are the things we can do those arithmetic with JavaScript. But now there is also something called modular, and what it means is the remainder, right? So if you want to say 5 divided by 2, give me the remainder, you use the percentage sign, and when you refresh it, it tells you the remainder is 1. Just making sure you can see my console over here. So that is
Yeah.
JavaScript. Hold on. That is JavaScript mathematics. Simple, easy peasy, something we all know. Now, we also have logical operators, right? Which is true or false. And if you want to represent something as true in JavaScript, you just do true. So when console log true and you save it and we refresh, it's true or false. If we do false, you just type in the word false and it's false. Now, you can also join booleans. We call them boolean. They're called boolean types, which is true or false pretty much. And if we have like some boolean operators, logical operators as we call them, so we can say either something is true, so, and another thing is true. When you do so the and is 2 ampersand space and another true. So it's either Abraham is a boy or Abraham is a boy. You want to evaluate what that result is. When you do that, it's going to be true. But when you say either Abraham is a boy or Abraham is a girl, so that is true. And no, sorry, this is not either, this is and. So Abraham is a boy and Abraham is 26 years old. So am I 26?
Does it matter?
Shit, I'm old.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's tough.
I just had a what's it called, quarter life crisis right now.
Yo,
Either Abraham, so Abraham is a man and Abraham is 26 years old. So those are 2 truths. That means the result should be true. Oh, sorry, I had false here. But if I had a true, if this is true and true, it should be true. Or true and a false statement, it's like, oh yeah, there is no certainty in that, so it should be false. So either, so it's like Abraham is a man and Abraham is a girl. They're both false statement. Like it's a false statement, so it evaluates that as false. Now, if you want to do or, right? We do or using 2 horizontal, what is it called? Divider, the divider sign. And it's right above your enter key in the keyboard. It's right above your enter key in the keyboard, and you have to hold shift and the backslash. That's what it is. That's how you get it. So let me see if I can show viewers. It's this key right here. Let me see it. right there. So that's your or, and you have to do two of them. So we can say either Abraham is a man or Abraham is 26 years old. It evaluates that to true. Now, what that means is if the first one is true, your result is always going to be true because it just looks at all I want is a true statement and it's true. So one of them has to be true. But if I do true or false, yeah, that should give us true because the first one is true. If I do false or true, it should give us true. But if I do false or false, what do you expect is going to happen?
True. No, I'm
It's gonna
joking.
give us false. So
Yeah.
with the or symbol, for you to get false, with the or operator, for you to get false, both statements have to be false. While with the uh, and operator, for you to get true, both statements have to be the truth, right? So we know that now. Now, there is something called flipping a Boolean statement where it's like, oh, something is true, but you want to flip it to be like, oh, it's false. You're changing the type to be false. So I can say this is true, but if I say if it's not true, I can do the exclamation mark before the true. When we do that, it changes it to false. So if it's not true means if it's false. So the same way we can do if it's not false means if it's true. So that is the Boolean operators. We are going to use this in every code, every JavaScript code that you write. So now the next thing we're going to go to is text. How do you write text? Beginning of the video, you saw me log in like text and everything. In order to log text, you have to put it in quotes. And
Yeah.
it can either be a single quote in JavaScript, it can either be a single quote or a double quote. And anything you write in here, the browser is just going to take it and log it. Like, but if I were to not put this in a quote and I write this, the browser is going to throw an error, uncut reference error. We're going to learn about this.
Okay.
So now, if I have hello, let's say you have a string somewhere here, hello, and you want to add the username, right? So if this were to be an app and anytime users log in, you're writing hello, the person's name, but you're getting the name from the database, right? You can hard code this by doing hello, but how do you inject the other part? So how do you add to strings? You can either do that by using a plus. When you use a plus and you add the other string, so I can say in my case Abraham. When I refresh it, the browser writes hello Abraham. You can do that, or we have something called template strings, which is using the backtick symbol. So when you do the backtick symbol, the backtick symbol, which is before the number one key on the keyboard, you can write hello space a $sign and your opening and curly braces. Now when I do that, oh, I shouldn't have teach you this now because you won't understand where this becomes what's it called. You just learn this syntax now. Just think of it as you're learning the syntax. When I do that, I can still put my string there and be like hello Abraham, and my closing string, that should still work. You're gonna be like, oh, why do this? What's the point of doing all of this long thing when you can just do hello Abraham like this? Remember, you are getting the Abraham from a specific source, so you don't have it in your code for now. That's how we call that concatenation. You're adding strings to strings. Something to be mindful of is, before I go to that, everything all right, Ralph?
Yeah.
Okay. Something to be mindful of is you can have a string like this, hello, and this is where JavaScript, the gotchas in JavaScript are. And you do a plus, and I do a number. So you are adding a string and a number. What's your expectation? Is that possible logically with our day-to-day distance? Is that possible? You can't add string to numbers, right? But
Mm-hmm.
JavaScript is so forgiving, and you have to be careful with this. It says it's a string hello 2. So what JavaScript does is it converts this number to a string and it adds it.
Okay.
Now we're going to next topic is something called variables, and think of variables as um, you want to store things temporarily, and then you take them later to use them for your computation, to use them for whatever you want to do. So let's say um, to create a variable, we use the let, and then I'll be like, oh, let's say we are getting our username from somewhere and want to store it temporary before we display it. So we'll say let username should be equal to, it's a string, Ralph. So let is the identifier that tells JavaScript, oh, this is a variable I'm defining. The name of the variable is username. And equal to is saying, okay, uh let this is what I want you to store in that variable name. So you're just storing a specific data inside this variable. And now we say it's Ralph. JavaScript is so forgiving that you don't need the semicolon, but after every statement, usually you can add the semicolon. There are places where you might need to add it just to be able to tell the browser that, oh, this is where the statement ends and this is where it begins. But you will see me adding the semicolon out of habit. So I add the semicolon to say, okay, that's where the statement ends. And I have my console.log. And this is where, let's imagine the console.log, it writes the username. Hello, user, it greets the username here. So I can do hello. How do I display this username in this string? I can't do username like this, because if I do it, it's going to
Yeah.
show hello username, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to do that, concatenation, like I talked about, that's where you come out of the quotes and you do your plus and you do username. I know, and when I do it, it takes the value from the variable that's stored and it displays it. It retrieves that value. And this is where the other part, the other way I was showing of how to write concatenate strings, the template strings format using the backticks. This is where it comes in handy. Can you imagine if you had hello, hello username, you want to add another string, you do another plus, how are you doing, or like hello, you are dash years old today. If I were to do that, I'll have to do a lot of plus and plus and plus from those variables. But with template strings, it's a lot more easier. All I just do is when I put the backticks, the opening and closing backticks, I do hello, and this is where the $ and opening and closing bracket,
Okay.
yeah, and you type in the variable username, and then continue my string and be like, you are let's create another variable. To create another variable, we'll just do another let age, and we'll just say age is 26, and we'll be like, you are age years old today. Now, if I were to convert, like comparing these two states, comparing these two formats, you're going to see that this has like you continue writing your string. Anytime you just want to use a variable, you just use this, and JavaScript knows, oh, okay, you are not writing a string here, you're not writing a basic type here, you're just injecting, you're taking a value from a variable to that point. And if I save it and refresh, you just see, hello Ralph, you are 26-year-old today. So it takes all of those information from the variable. The other type, another way of defining a variable is const. So I can say const, think of it as constant. I can say constant, and I'll be like, city is Winnipeg, right? Another way of also defining variable is var. We use var as in from the word variable or variable, or just var, and we'll be like country equal to Canada. And then I can also say another variable, let's is male. That means is Ralph male, and we'll say true. So I can put either a boolean in a variable, a string in a variable, a number in a variable, and all of that is gonna work. Something also to just point out when we are doing the additions between number, just know JavaScript can also do things like 2 decimal. So 2.3 plus 6.9 or whatever, it's going to give you the result in decimal. So we call that floating point. It has its gotchas, but for now, just don't bother yourself in trying to learn that part. Just focus on understanding and mastering these basics. Once you've learned these basics, then you'll be able to, get it's easier for you to learn the gotchas between the corners. So now, any question?
Not so far.
Okay, awesome. Since no question, we're going to proceed. The difference, I'll tell you the difference between let, var, and const, because they are all, let, var, and const are all, what's it called, ways of defining a variable, right? Now, let is, think of it as, I can come back here and say age is equal to, no, you're actually 25 or something like that. Let's permit you to do that. So we call that reassigning or redefining what's it called, the age, right? Now if I refresh this, it says hello, you're 25, but remember we defined the age here to be 26. We defined the age here to be 26, but because after we changed we changed what's stored in this variable to 25, it's being displayed here. So think of let as, oh, if you want to define something and later change the value, let's permit you to do that. And another thing with let is I can define another variable and I'll be like height, right? But you see, I just did let height and my semicolon to end it. I did not store anything in that variable. What let, it allows me to do this because it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to assign a value to that later. So if I did, so I can come down here and I can say height is equal to 6.2 or something like that. That's another thing that let allows me to do. So now this is all for let, but when we come to const, if I refresh my browser, you see there is no error. When we come to const, right? Const means constant. I can come down here and say city is equal to, oh, actually, you know what? City is equal to Toronto. When I refresh, the browser tells me an error, assignment to constant variable. So think of const as, this is something that's going to be like you can't reassign to it. You can't change the value. var on is I call it the ancient of days. This was how we declared variable in the past. And var
Okay.
is so bad. It has, I mean, be careful with using var, honestly. If you're going to use var, be careful. Because here is something. If I try doing, let's take out city, the city variable, and I try declaring, oh, you know what? Let's declare another, let's age, another variable age to be 27. You can even see my VS Code is also is warning me with this twiggle over here saying cannot redeclare blocked scope variable age. This is one of the things you can do. So you can reuse the same variable name because I've already declared it once. In this scope right now, I can't reuse it. And if I even try running it, the browser is going to error, like my code is not executing. That's one of the safety of using let. But with var, when I do var country, I can even change it completely. When I refresh it, it works. And that's like, we already have a var called country in the same file, and we are able to redo it over here. So that's one of the gotchas of using var. It has a lot of gotchas, but the more we learn about JavaScript, we're going to learn it. The more we learn about JavaScript, we're going to see it. Something I wanna show again is something we call compound. I call it compound assignment operators. So we have an age that's 26. If it's your new, like it's your birthday and you want to add 1 to it, you can just do age is equal to 26 plus 1. And when we refresh it, username is not, I'll just, so age is equal to 26 plus 1. So these are all shortcuts I'm going to be teaching now. So it says you are 27. But since I'm doing the addition here and adding putting the results back in the variable, there is a shorthand format. I can just do age plus equal to, I think if I do plus equal to 1. So what it's saying is take the value of age now, add 1 to it, and reassign it back to age. And it says 27. So I can also do the same thing with multiplication. So if I say times equal to 2, oh my gosh, 2, and refresh, it multiplies 2 times 26, which is 52, and it takes the variable back. I can also do it with minus. So 26 minus 2, 24. And I can also do it with division, which is 13, I believe. Yeah. So that is a shorthand format of, using operations and mathematical operations and adding it back to the variable. Now we're done with variable. Something I want to show is comments. How do you write comments in your JavaScript code? So I'll be like, oh, Ralph, I'm writing a note here so that me in the future or a developer also going to work in the file will understand that this is how this specific code I wrote works. What I can do is I can use the backslash. So I do, front slash. So I do front slash space, and I'll be like, this is a comment. And if I refresh it, nothing happens. It doesn't show that because it's a comment. So if I even write a console.log here, oh my gosh. There is no the console.log here. We are not going to see it because it's a comment. All good there, Ralph?
Yeah.
So this is what we call a single line comment, because the moment I hit enter and I write something else, uh, if I write another console.log here, that is going to get run because it's not in a comment. So if you want to comment a line out, you just do put 2// and
Yeah.
then
And
hit
then
enter. Now, if you want,
pseudo, we centered divs. I think that was 2 classes ago. But today we are commenting in JS. Was it
yeah,
2 classes last
yeah,
class?
it was like in when we were doing in HTML, we
Yeah.
commented in HTML. Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was 2 weeks ago or so. Um, but JavaScript also have multi-line comments, because if you wanted to write like a sentence, right?
Oh
You
no, no,
can.
no. I was
Oh,
okay. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I was talking to pseudo in the comment section.
oh, I'm just seeing the
Yeah.
comments. Nathaniel said, "When in doubt, don't use var." Yeah, like var is var. If JavaScript were using airplanes, var probably caused some plane crashes. Oh
Hmm.
man, that should be my what's it called? That should be my motto. If JavaScript were used in airplanes, var definitely caused some plane crashes. It's a demon. Sudo, yeah, we're centering some divs using JavaScript today. Um, to write multi-line comments, so a comment that you can write and go down and write and go down. To do
Mhm.
that, we use you do a / and then asterisk, and then you just write and just write, and then you close it to end the multi-line comments. You do your asterisk and your / so now if I had, let's say, a console log in that multi-line section, so I have this console log here. When I refresh the browser, we are not going to see the console log because that's a multi-line statement. That's a multi-line comment. So that's comment. Conditional and loop. That's the next thing we're talking about. Oh my gosh, I should have been. You know what? I'll just do this. I just realized that I've just been deleting all the codes I've been writing because.
Yeah.
So let's do some conditional. So what I just did is I commented all the codes we've written before. And now if I refresh my browser, we don't see any of those code being executed in JavaScript because they are all comments. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is conditional and loops. And we have, let's start with, how do you do a conditional, like, oh, if the button was clicked, do this, or else do that, or if the password is incorrect, do this, or else do that. That's what conditional is. Now, to write a conditional statement, it's as simple as, let's say, let is we had is oh, I'm a play, is a tech bro, is a tech bro. I'll use const for this because I'm not changing it anytime. I'll say it's false. Now, let's say we got this data from somewhere and we want to check, oh, we want to create different scenarios based on this. We can say if, and then space, and you open and close a bracket, and we put is a tech bro, and open and close a bracelet after the bracket. Now I can do console.log. I'll be like, if the person is a tech bro, I'll be like, tech bro entered chat. Else, right? Oh, so before I do the else, I'll just do the if statement. Now let's read through this code together, and Ralph, you're going to tell me if this executes or not. So the variable here has the Boolean value of false. And we define an if statement, as we call it. And in the if statement, in the if block, we have this is a tech bro, which means false. And if it's a tech bro, we should console.log tech bro entered chat. What do you expect when I refresh the browser?
Mm. Oh, I'm just going to guess, right?
Yeah.
But shouldn't you have like if not
We
for it
don't
to
have
work?
the if not yet.
Oh, okay. So with this, I don't know. Honestly, don't know.
So since is a tech bro, the value in it is false, this code is
Mhm.
not going to execute. So when I refresh it, there is nothing. But if I were to put a conditional that, okay, if that doesn't execute, we say else, and then we just put our curly bracelet, and then we can say, I'll say tech sys enter chat. So with this statement, if is a tech bro is false, what do you think is going to console log? Is it tech bro enter chat or tech sys enter chat?
X's and touchdowns.
Exactly. So tech sys enter chat. But if tech bro was false, oh sorry, was true. If is tech bro was true and we refresh, we see tech bro enter chat. So this is how we write conditionals if else. And there is also, we can do if we also have something called else if. So we can say if is tech bro, else if. So that means that variable or that boolean has different conditions. So we can do else if, but we can also add more else if like, oh, if the person's age is 1, print age 1. If the person age is 2, print age 2. If the person age is that kind of thing. So we can say elf uh is tech bro is something. Let's oh I didn't show you that. Now if we want to say is tech bro is equal to, so in this case, let's say is tech bro is false, and we'll say we want to check if is tech bro is true. We'll do is tech bro is true. Now to do this is actually double equals to, but I use a specific font that makes it look like one single long equal. So
Okay.
double equals true, and then when I do this and log this uh, and refresh, nothing happens. But if I change this to false, you should see tech bro enter chat because we are logging it here. But I could change this to sys enter chat, or then else we can now put our last condition. If we want to catch all, like both conditionals were not executed, we can do a catch all here and say say user entered chat. So this is our if and else statement, and if else and else if statement. um there are a lot of things we can also do with this. So if I say is age is matured, let's do is matured, and we say 25. So this is based on, we'll say age maturity is 18, just right. So we can say if is a tech bro, and this is where using the and comes into play, and is matured is equal to, or we want to check if the person is matured and greater than 18. So to do that, greater than or equal to 18, we do the greater than symbol and equal to 18. 18. Now, because of my font again, it actually shows it like a greater, mathematical greater than equal to, but it's simply greater than and then equal
Mm.
18. When we refresh this and let's change tech bro to true, it shows it as tech bro enter chat because tech bro is true and is matured is also true. This statement is matured is true because is matured is greater than and equal to 18. We're going to do loops and maybe end it. Oh, we still have 30 more minutes.
Now we could end today. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just need to check if my mic was muted.
Oh.
Oh.
We're going to do loops and then see how we feel after that.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So with loops, loops are just like, think of it as like a counter. So you're like something that goes in circle, it's a loop. So you want to tell it where it will stop and where it will start from, for example. So we have different ways of writing loops. The first one is, for simplicity's sake, I'll just do for. We have a for loop. Now, to do a for loop or show how a for loop works, I want to print the numbers from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? To do that, I'll be like, const, we are starting from 10. I'll be like, loop start at 10, right? And then for loop, we do for, or let's do a while loop first, which is a lot more easier. While, we say while, right? No, instead of const, I'll do let because we're going to reuse that. While loop start, so we are doing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it ends at 1, right? So we're going to say while loop start is less than, is greater than or equal to 1, right? This statement, so while loop start is less than or equal to 1, we'll do console.log the value of loop start, and then we'll say loop start minus minus. So the minus minus, oh my gosh. Now to explain this, while means we are looping, and then we have to tell the loop where to stop. We have to tell it, okay, stop here. So for example, when you are printing, let's say in a, like the snake game, you're drawing the snake moving, and you want to be like, every second it should delete the snake from here and add it to this place, deletes the snake from here and add it to this place, delete the snake from here, this point of my screen, and add it to this place. If you want to do that, you use something like a loop. So this is where it comes in handy, but we have to tell it where to stop. So we say we start from somewhere and we stop from somewhere. So we are saying, okay, we are going to start from 10, but only continue running the code here only when loop start is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so we are going to console log loop start, and then after we console log loop start, the last thing we are going to do is we have this loop start minus minus. What it means is we are subtracting 1 from loop start. So it's going, when it comes here, it's going to say, oh, what's the value of loop start? Is 10. So 10 minus minus, which is 10 minus 1, and it's going to reduce it and it's going to reduce the value of loop start by 1 and update the variable here. So we're going to keep doing that until loop start becomes until loop start becomes equal to 1. That's our stopping point. When we refresh, see in the browser, we console log 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I think I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Mine is not
Do you
showing. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Oh, still did.
what's the error on the console?
Um, loop is not defined as index.js.
Do you have the let's variable loop start be equal to 10?
Yeah, let me just copy. I'll send it to you on Discord if I can find my Discord. Oh, let's go. Okay.
Let loop start. So you did equal to. Okay, first thing first is we are saying while it is less than
Okay.
or equal to. So less than and then equal to.
Okay.
That's one.
Because I realized that earlier on you did, there was something you wrote. I can't remember. Wait, give me one sec. You have ideas to open. It had
Also,
it written as equal to or greater than.
yeah. I made a mistake when I was writing. Also, console.log is loop stats, not loops stat. That's why.
Console.
Loops, because you are
Oh,
logging the variable and you have no variable named loop stats. That's why
okay.
it's saying
It's that.
when only when you make those mistakes you learn.
Yeah.
So that is how you do while loop. While loop is going to execute every time until the over here until the boolean here is false. So it's like while this is true, keep executing until this becomes false. Now we also have another loop called do while. So the do while is just you do a do and then we say console.log or something like that. I'm not going to give an example of that. I'm just going to give a quick this thing. So say while, and then you put your while statement here. I believe that's how it's done. Blah, 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 blah.
I can't remember something.
Yeah. Oh, I was missing the yeah. So with the do while, we are saying, oh, keep doing this. With the do while, it's the same thing as a while, but the difference is, honestly, I think I'll just do this loop. I'll copy the same thing we have inside of our while loop and I'll paste it in the do while.
Okay.
Thanks for the follow, Shekfo. Uh, and then copy the same conditional in our while loop and I'll paste it in the while inside the while bracket. And when I save it and refresh, we're going to see. Oh, actually, I want to change this. I'll uncomment the while loop because we are using the same variable loop start. So when it comes to the do while, it doesn't execute. And
Okay.
then when I refresh it, we're going to see the same thing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But
Mhm.
then where the do while differs from the loop start is the do while is going to execute before it checks the conditional, while the while loop will check the conditional before it executes the statement. So you see, while it's like, okay, uh, is the loop start greater than or equal to 1? the first time it's going to check it. But do is going to, okay, you know what, let's do this first and then let's go check. Do we meet that conditional to do it again? It does it. Do we meet that conditional to do it again? It does it. I don't have a clear example as to where to use a do while. The only place I've seen do while used in all of my professional career is when I was, we had, where when you are offline, your app disconnects from the internet, right? But you want when the user comes back online, right? It should update the app. So what the person did, I saw the person did was, the first thing they did is when the user clicks on the button to make the request or update, it tries to do it first time, and if it fails, it waits and it keeps checking after every time. It keeps checking, it keeps checking, it keeps checking. And only when they get the result do they come out of the loop. So it checks it the first time and then
Okay.
it checks the conditional. Or it executes it the first time and then it does the conditional and then goes back to execute and does the conditional. You can read more on the do while loop in what's it called? Mozilla MDN if you find it interesting. Oh, I did not put that there for a while. But they have an example here, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So while I is greater than 5, yeah, it doesn't really, it's less than 5. Oh, actually, this makes sense. So they first do I, they add I to I. Oh, they have a variable results, which is an empty string, and another variable I, which is 0. And then they're like, okay, the first time they're like, change I to be I plus 1, which is 0 plus 1, and let results be, they're concatenating the string, they're convert with the number. So result plus 1, which is empty string, plus I, which is 1 in this case, will be 1. So it's a string. You can see the quotes, right? So it does this, what's it called? It prints it, and then it comes back, it checks the while condition. It's like I less than 5, I is less than 5, and it does it 2, 3, 4. But when it gets to 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 is less than 5, but 5 is not less than 5. So it
Yeah.
still goes back to the do and it does it. And then when it says, oh, 5 is less than 5, it doesn't go back to the loop again. But if it
Well,
was a while condition, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it comes back to the condition here, and it's like, oh, 5 is less than 5. There is no need for me to execute this again, and it stops. So you're just going to have 1, 2, 3, 4.
oh, okay. Francis, it's MDN web docs,
Uh,
not those. That's where, but we
yeah,
use both. Oh,
yeah, we use both for what's it called?
you can just put the link in chat.
I think he knows. I think he knows
No,
it,
like
but
the one for. No, he will definitely know the replace goals.
yeah.
Like the link to this one. Yeah, in chat.
So that's MDN. That's like Mozilla. What's it called? Documents for JavaScript or like reference for JavaScript. I actually have the link in the Notion doc somewhere here. Oh yeah. So all the all the Mozilla, all the JavaScript reference by Mozilla or docs, they're all in there.
Okay, so I get all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, what is the the real life
Uh,
usage of like because if you do the count the example you gave, right, was more of like a real life usage, but like this very one that just does like a countdown,
mm-hmm.
like what how is
How is the
well,
real?
yeah, what's the real life usage of that?
Okay, let me get you another real life
Because
usage.
I got the one you did with the whole color stuff, right?
So
That one made sense.
let me give you another real life usage, right? So let's say in our app, right? We have
Okay.
a select all. We have the drop down, the list of what's it called? Let me see if I
Notes.
can. List of notes. I'm trying to get a legit live one, but I can't find it.
You don't have it bookmarked?
No. Oh my gosh, what just happened there? Oh, here it is. So we have this list of notes, right? Right? So let's say we have a select all button, right?
Okay.
And then we select all, right? And we want to, oh my gosh, sorry, just give me a moment. And when you select all, you want to delete all, right?
Okay.
How do you, this is probably not an efficient way. We can use a while loop, right? And be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, how many items are there? We see it's 5, right? And we are
Okay.
saying this is a list, right? This is a list item. We did list in JavaScript, in HTML, how to write a list, right? The li tag. So you'll be like, okay, there are 5 items right now. The user is select all true. Yes, select all is true. And is the number of list item less than, is the number of list item 0, because the user has selected all and they want to delete all, right? So is the number of list item 0. So those are going to be your 2 conditional statements. Let me just write it here. Maybe that way you'll be able to see it. So we'll have like a variable like let list items, the number of list items is equal to 5. This 5 we have here, right?
Mhm.
Then we also have is select all, and by default it's false. But when the user clicks a button, right? When the user clicks a button, this changes to true. So the same way I did when I click on the header, it was changing the color. Only when I click on it, it was changing the color of the header. Only when they click on the select all button that changes to true. So we know that, oh yeah, the user have selected that. And now they now click on delete all. So what we
Okay.
can do is we can say, okay, we know the number of items on the page, and we say, wow, right? The number of items on the page is equal to, is, so since we are going to go from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we'll be saying while the number is, which is number of list items, right? While
Mm-hmm.
it is greater than or equal to 0, and select all is true, right? We want to delete list item number 1 or something like that. List item, we want to be deleting the list item. You have your logic for deleting the list item, right? So that's a real life example.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there is also another way of writing. Oh, there
Oh,
is,
okay, wait.
okay.
So, like, based off, so you said like you select all and you want to delete all the items, and you
Yeah.
said, let's select all. Original is going to be false,
Mm-hmm.
but when you select it, it then changes to true.
Yes.
Is there something we have to do for that to change, or is that automatically
No, we have to connect. We have to connect the HTML. We have to
okay?
read the HTML to say, okay, did the user click on this? Did the user click on this? Or we have something what we call events listener, where it's
Okay,
like you um you attach an events listener to a specific HTML for, so that whenever the user interacts with that HTML element, it
okay,
triggers your code.
okay,
So only
okay.
when they now hit delete that we are going to run this. So
Oh,
select all is going to be true, but when they now hit on the delete button, then we are going to start running this until we are done deleting everything. So it's just going to be deleting, delete.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
So like, I wish this was like what's it called? The reason why I have to like explain all of this individually has just its own is because when we now get into the code, you have to you have an there you're going to
Yeah,
learn how to use this to now start interacting with HTML and then organizing your code and okay, uh, this is the logic I'm going to use here and this is the logic I will use here and this is the logic I will use here and I can reuse this logic here and there.
yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense.
Uh,
Francis asked carousel, but I don't know
carousel.
what that is.
Hmm. Same here. I saw it, but I was wondering what it was. Francis, do
I
you?
think he posted it when I asked for the purpose of the whole
Oh, yeah,
carousel.
yeah. I'm trying to think of how to because I'm trying to think of how you can explain. Is this purely just JavaScript and HTML? For now, we
Oh,
did
yeah,
HTML and CSS, and now I'm introducing him to JavaScript and just the basics of JavaScript or the foundations of JavaScript. Oh, carousel for the explanation or a slider. Trying to see how. Yeah, if you have, you can say okay, you have, you do know what a carousel is, right?
like real life carousel or the one in relations to coding. Because no,
It's just, yeah, it's like this, but we have what's it called? You've definitely seen it in what's it called in real life. So that's like this,
oh, okay,
right?
yeah,
Now imagine this is automatic. You're like just sliding through everything. It's just sliding through everything. Anything that you can iterate over. He, using terms like iterate over, it's just going to be difficult. I feel like it's too much terms for Ralph. But, you know, things that are like a list of item, anything that's like a list of item that you can, you know, count or what's it called? Iterate. Like he has you put the word in my mouth. But anything that you can, you know, count through or loop through, you know. So that's where
okay.
you use it. In a carousel, for example, in this carousel, I doubt that they even use it here because they are using bootstrap. So maybe the bootstrap code does it. But it's like, oh, and they say, I know it's for you, then you will explain. Oh my gosh. The explanation is the complicated aspect. But for like a carousel, let's say you have, you know, on your web page, you have something like this. This is probably not the most efficient way to do it in JavaScript, but you want to like um when the user comes, you just loop through everything real quick because as we see the JavaScript loop is really fast. It can be really fast. When we did the console log, it just did it 10 8 9 8 like real quick by the time the page has loaded. But let's say you wanted to do something that, you know, you want to loop through it real quick. That's an example where you use a loop in um let's see. I want to see what's next. I want to go away from loop. Oh, there is also another way of doing loop, which is the for loop. Now, this one is a lot more. This one, I'm going to comment this out. So the
How do
for.
you do that? Because like I've seen you do magic. Like you highlight the text.
So if I highlight it, I do control and the forward slash there. Highlight it and
These are the things you're supposed to be telling me as you're going.
those are the
Things that make
things.
me like
Those are the things you learn by yourself.
a
This is
lot
not a
of
VS Code
oh,
master course.
Those are things that make one's life a lot. Oh boy, I think I.
Anyways, the next thing I want to talk about is the for loop, or I want to talk about the for loop. So the for loop is like the while loop, but it gives you a lot more parameters. So now for you do the for like your while opening and closing brackets, and then your opening and closing bracelets, and then enter. Now, in the case of the while loop, we had our conditional inside the bracket. And that's the same thing we're going to do here, but we have to define the condition. So to define it, I would say oh my gosh, let's say I'll give a variable I. I'll define a variable I is equal to, so I want to do 1 to 10, right? So I'll say,
Mhm.
let it start from 1, and I put a semicolon here, and I say, so the first part is, okay, what are you, the index of what you are iterating over, the big, like the thing you are counting over, right? You're going to understand that. The second part is, uh, should it change, or how does it go to the next step? So when you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how does 1 go to 2 before it goes to 3? So it's going to be 1 plus 1. So we're going to do I plus plus, or I plus 1, however you want. Oh no, actually, that's the last part. So that's the last part. But this middle part is, where does it stop? So we're going to say I should stop when it is less than, no, I should stop when it is equal to 10. Wait, sorry, I'm confused
Can take your time.
because I've not used for loop in a long. Oh, it should. So first one is what we are. First one is what we are counting, or what we are iterating over. The second one is the true or false statement that should tell the loop to stop. So we want it to stop when or want it to continue until I is class.length, so I plus plus, so I plus plus. Hold on. I think, yeah, we want it to stop when I is greater than or equal to 10. Exactly. Right?
Mhm.
And the last one is, okay, how should it go to the next step? Exactly. So if we do our console log here, and let's do our template string, and we say I is currently I. Oh, and then it should put the value of I. So it goes, let I be equal to 1. That's where we are starting from, right? That's where the loop is starting from. The loop
Mhm.
should continue when I is greater than or equal to 10. Sorry, the loop should stop when I is greater than equal to 10. That's what this means here. Now, remember
Mhm.
I said this is a font.
But shouldn't it be less than? Oh yeah. If you want it to stop at 10, shouldn't it be less than? Because if it's
Yes.
greater than, that means it's going to keep on going after 10.
So currently
1.
I is 1.
Let I keep on going till.
So increase it. Sorry, yeah. I is less than or equal to 10. I
Yeah,
is less than or equal to 10. You're right. Thanks.
kind of stole the idea from Francis Sharp.
Thanks, Francis. So let the loop continue until I is less than or equal to 10. And after it does the first step, how should it go to the next step, which is the I plus plus? So when we save that and refresh that on our browser, open our console and refresh, we see I is currently 1. It starts from 1 and it goes to 2 and it goes to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is almost the same thing as the while loop.
Okay, hold on.
Now, where does this come in handy? I mean, where this comes in handy, both comes in, is when we learn things like arrays. When we learn JavaScript arrays and all that, I will show you where the for loop and while you begin to see the differences between for and while. And honestly, with JavaScript, once you start even using once you start using JavaScript and all of that, it's going to like there are only going to be little cases where you're going to have to create a loop like this. You can just from your array, every array, like using functional programming, you are able to say, okay, you know what, loop through these items in this list, and then do for every time you loop through it, just do this without having to write all of this what's it called, code. I will comment this out now. That's for loop. Wow, I did not expect loop to be something really complicated to explain.
Good.
No, it won't run because at the start I won't be greater than 10. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the I initially did 10, so it did not run. I did I greater than 10. That was why it did not run.
Hold on. Just give me one sec. Cause mine didn't run. I don't know if I want that. Still. You see the problem. Console.log. Yeah, everything seems fine.
Do you have your semicolon here and your semicolon here? After
Yup. I'll just send it to you again on this one. Cause
so for I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to 10, I plus plus console. So you are using quotes instead of the backticks. Template string. Now you see why we are doing the basics. Because there is a lot of gotchas. And can you imagine now you've written your code, like you're trying to write the code for the whole interacting with HTML and designing all of those interactivity. These kind of things, like they get you. And the code becomes a lot more longer. Like you don't realize it becoming longer, and before you know anything, you already have 700 lines of code. Did that work?
yeah, it worked now.
Okay. Perfect. So I'll uncomment that out. Remember, people, there's a difference between backticks and quotes. When you're using backticks is for when you use the template strings and you want to inject or inject what's it called, your variable to the string.
I think amongst all three, JS has to be like the most complicated account.
Oh,
Cause
no worries.
HTML is like
Don't worry. You've not done CSS. That's why you are saying all of this.
maybe the CSS I've done right is not the complicated one, but honestly, I prefer CSS so far compared to
JS JS has a what's it called, tougher barrier of entry, but once you get it, I want to say it's so easy. Like it's so easy to keep.
even Francis said, "Don't
Don't
worry,
worry.
TC React."
TC React. Oh, React is the library. Next on Vue.js. Yeah, those are not like honestly. I don't feel those are complicated. Like they are complicated. in a way. But CSS. Oh my gosh. Do you remember when we did things like, oh, we are trying to target, we're trying to target, or when it's a button that's under a parent element that has the class or form container.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those things. You'll be like, why is the color not changing? But because you've written a CSS somewhere, and the
And CSS is
CSS,
the death of everyone.
CSS has a really easy barrier of entry, but JS, because with JS you have to learn all these features of JS. With CSS, you learn the features of CSS. Then come and apply it. CSS is there watching that. You know what? There is actually a really good video that, I just want to show you. I think that describes CSS so good. Shout out to, what's her name? I don't remember her name. Z in She's a Nigerian TikToker, tech TikToker. I'll show you a video.
Is it on YouTube?
It's not on YouTube.
Or is
I
it TikTok?
I saved it somewhere
Okay.
because I get overwhelmed so easily.
Oh, wow. So CSS is, yeah, oh, wow. Okay. So I guess I was deceiving myself because I was like, yo, HTML seemed nice. I knew it was going to get more complicated, but like getting in was nice. CSS was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And now we've entered JavaScript and
One one.
it's starting to seem like
Oh,
calculus.
Francis says this thing says CSS is the death of everyone. The children, etc. Nth child. Do you know with CSS when you have like a list, I can say, oh, you see the fourth item in this list. I want you to change the color of that item to be this, but every other thing should be that color. Now you would be like, oh, you know what? Every list should have this color. You will spend hours looking for why is this one list item, why is the color so different?
But they want the color of one item in a list
So you see
to be a specific color.
a specific color.
That's mental illness now. Just tell them that it does not function that way.
So it does not function that way. Okay, look at this video.
I
If
can't hear the audio.
CSS was a person.
I can't hear the audio. Yeah, nah.
You can't hear it?
Yeah.
How could you hear? You can
Well,
hear
how
it
come
on the stream though.
you can hear on the stream?
Oh, I
Oh,
know
yeah,
why.
because you're not sharing. But you're
Sharing.
sharing with me, though. I'm supposed to.
Okay, I will play it now. Things are going to get loud. Like,
Bro, this shit's not funny. Can you just go over there, please? So, like, what the fuck did you just say to me,
You know what?
bitch?
I'll just
Oh
watch it
my
from the stream.
God. No. You came with really, really loud energy
You know what? I'll
before,
just watch
so
it from
come
the
with that
stream.
energy
Oh,
again. What
wow.
the fuck did you
Okay.
just call me, bitch? For fuck's sake, CSS, like, I'm dead ass, like, not trying to fight with you. I'm trying to get a fucking job done. Can you please go over there? Call me your titty milk hoe. I'll go over there. Now, what the fuck? CSS, was that what I just said? That's what that, you look ugly. Okay, you look stupid. Sweetie, don't be loud. You want me to go behind the bike? Yes, for the past 45 minutes. Yes. Please go behind the bike. What's the bike's index?
what's the bike's index?
What's my Z index? 3. Is that your final answer? Yes, 3.
That video gets
Wow.
That video gets me. I sent it to you. You can watch it later. So,
Wow.
oh man, CSX is, oh my gosh, she fun. CSS is fun.
So what we're doing, I knew we were doing the basics, but like I know that people were out here fighting for the alliance when it became more serious. Okay.
So now I think now you understand why people are getting paid 500 for
Yeah, yeah, that,
because it's difficult to learn. It's like it's not. I don't want to say it's difficult to learn. I'll just say it's not easy to learn. It's not
mhm,
easy to what's it called, improve, or it requires consistent improvement and development. So it's not like, oh, once you've learned this, then you go and you relax and you're like, I know this already. No, you have to keep on like watching videos, watching tutorials, and seeing how other people, and then new things are coming every day, new style properties, like all of these new functionalities are coming every day. So you're going to be like, oh my gosh, who sent me? That's
mhm,
so it's like keeping up to date with all of this thing is, oh my gosh. Anyways, I want to show you one last thing in JS and we'll call it a day, which is the
mhm.
Tenari operator. Now the
You said
Tenari, what?
no, go ahead. You said what? The who operator?
Tenari.
Okay.
It's it's I have it over here. Blah 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 blah. Conditional and loop. Ternary.
Okay.
Ternary. So let's say it's a simple way of doing if else statements. So I can say let name be let's say true, right? But we have a name declared somewhere here. Cannot redeclare blocks. What the heck? I don't have a name declared here. Why is it? I'm just going to. Oh, I think my VS code is. This is where you're going to discover that sometimes VS code incorrectly. It's incorrectly. What's it called? Alert you that there is something wrong, but there is nothing wrong. So you are always fighting. You're always going to be fighting with your systems. Anyways, but you know what? I'll say let is tech bro to be equal to false, and then we want to say we want the name of the tech bro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on when is we want it to be assigned here based on when is tech bro is true or false. We want a different value. So we could have used an if else statement, but I can just do the question mark. That's a ternary operator, and we say, let's say the name will be Abraham, or else nobody. So to simply read this to you, all it's just saying is tech bro true? If it's true, let's name be Abraham, or else, which is this colon, it should be nobody. So if I do a console.log and I log name and refresh, we see nobody shows because is tech bro is false. If I changed it to true and I do this, it changes it to Abraham.
Okay.
So do you get it? So it's
Yeah.
just it's a shorter format of doing if else, without having to write all of this, complicated is tech bro. So you can also put an evaluative Boolean statement here where it's like is tech bro and is matured, and you can, and then it's just a shorthand format. It evaluates everything and then it returns the first thing it returns the thing on the left hand side of the colon if this condition evaluates to true, or the right hand thing if it evaluates to false. But also bear in mind you can always flip it using the exclamation to be like so right now is tech bro is true, we use the exclamation, we flipped it. So whatever we are saying, when is tech bro is true, return Abraham. But since we put the exclamation here, it's going to be false. So if it is false, return Abraham, or else if it's true, return nobody. But since is tech bro is false, it's going to be true and it's going to return this. It's going to return Abraham. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of Foundation of JavaScript. Hopefully by Thursday we'll finish functions, JavaScript, or some advanced type, because we did Boolean, we did number, and we did string, right? We're going to do object and array. Those two, object simply means how you structure a specific data, and array is a list of something, right? So we're going to do that. So we'll do functions, and functions just like how do you group your code into smaller bits, and then you can call that specific code you've grouped to execute that specific logic you've added in that code. And then we'll go to interacting with the HTML elements using JavaScript. So how to select the HTML elements and do a lot of this stuff. And we'll do some user interaction, and then I'll show you how to save data on the browser, so that whenever the user comes back to the site, you are just taking that data you save on the browser and reusing it. Then I'll show you how you now make requests to servers. That's because I'm trying to break it down. How you make requests to servers, how you can go to this server and get this, or go to this website. This APIs, pretty much. We're going to go understand what API is in all of this. And then the last thing is we are now going to look at advanced. Oh my gosh. So we're going to look at how developers use JavaScript, how they collaborate together to use JavaScript using external code people have written, external JavaScript code people have written. For example, date and time. Oh yeah, this is a perfect one. See, last edited 5 days ago. This last edited, right? Before, it wasn't part of the JavaScript language in a way. Like, it wasn't really built solidly. It was so dirty. Someone created a library, it wrote a huge JavaScript code, and it's like, okay, hey, developers, here's this JavaScript code I've written. We can use it to create stuff. You can use it to create stuffs like this. And yeah, we're going to look at how we use other people code and stuff like that. But for tonight, we'll be stopping here.
Sounds good.
It's been a journey. Any question or anything you want?
Not right now. My brain is still digesting all that has been.
A lot. JavaScript is a lot to take the initial stage, but once you've taken it, you're good. Like, I would say you're good. It's easier to adopt new things. But CSS, my people will say that one is a Quinsu. Which means it's the demon. But yeah, anyways.
So
thank
you guys.
Thanks for everyone who joined us tonight, and it's definitely been fun. Soon we're gonna be done, and hopefully you can call yourself.
Then I have to go and face the world and learn this thing on my own.
Exactly.
I was going to say something. Oh yeah. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, we stream every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. I know it's CST, but we don't use CST here. We call it Winnipeg time. So
6 p.m.
when
CST.
when you want to check the time, be like, what is the time in Winnipeg? Go to Google. What is the time in
You can
Winnipeg?
also go to
And
Google and
check.
be like, what's the time in CST? And it does it for you.
No, that's long, right?
Do you think it's everyone that knows where Winnipeg, Manitoba is?
So let me ask you now, which one do you feel is easier for someone to listen? What is the time in CST? All those CST, EST, GMT,
Maybe it's because I work remotely, so
NYSC, all those different
what's
all
that
those
exactly?
different time zones. No. Just say what is the time in Winnipeg? Whatever time it shows for you, you either add or subtract, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, so it's on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, my time. Tuesday. Very simple. Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's better than doing all those GMT, CST. That's very confusing. Don't do that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you Thursday, 6 p.m. CST, aka 6 p.m. Winnipeg time.
Winnipeg time.
And it's me and Ralph again. Peace.